Every time I come through Gasoline Alley, I've got to come here to the gas area. Actually, it's Shell renewable energy fuel that these cars use, and this is where the teams get them, in the back of the garage area. But when I think about gasoline, I think about the gas man, Tom Sneva. He, of course, was the first to qualify at 200 miles an hour back in 1978. In 1983, he won the Indy 500. Speaking of 1983, that was the first year that Jeff Chapman, the man for all season, started his company, Chapman Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing. The proud sponsor, I'd hope to think, of the Gold Badge. We're certainly proud to have Jeff on board, the man around town. Another man around town is Ed Carpenter. I thought he might be able to help out with some information for this steering.
Now that you have the gold badge, my goal is to do two things: educate and entertain. There's no way I can do the second. So I went and found a guy that can do it for you, because he's going to attempt to qualify for his 20th Indianapolis 500-mile race. Talking about Indianapolis native Ed Carpenter. And Ed, we're here inside your garage for Ed Carpenter Racing, the Bitnile car number 20 that Connor Daly will drive on road and street courses. But it is similar enough to a car that we see on the oval. Let's begin with this. I'm going to give you trivia about these cars. Okay? All right. The chassis of the NTT IndyCar Series cars are all produced by the same company, which is?
Dallara.
That is correct. It is Dallara, as a matter of fact. Now, the road and street courses and the oval are different configurations. For a guy like me, who took a long time to get through math and science classes, the way I explain it is this, and you tell me how off base I am. An oval car essentially then has additional, like Lego type pieces that go around it to change their aerodynamics, which makes it then a road and street course car.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. It's, you know, I would say it has more downforce. We achieve that by adding more parts to the car to basically push it into the track more for the low speed corners, etc.
Okay, so the weight of a car, now let's talk oval. We're pretending that we're talking specifically about the Indianapolis 500. So David can kind of show the car here. Again, this is the Bitnile car for Connor Daly, but if this were an oval car, this weighs how much?
Just under 1,700 pounds. I say 1,700. You corrected me at like 1,655, but they're all a little different depending on how much the driver weighs.
Yeah, we have to be precise here, Ed, right?
Yeah.
1,655 pounds,
I think mine will be like 1,680 pounds.
So here's the thing. All of the drivers, after I believe the first practice session, have to weigh in, correct?
Yep. Yeah.
Then
we have 15 minutes to go.
And the heaviest driver will be who?
Probably Graham.
I would think it's Graham Rahal. So let's say, for the sake of argument, that Graham Rahal weighs, we'll just say 200 pounds. It's probably a little heavy, but 1,655 plus 200, everybody then has to equal 1,855 pounds between the car and the driver. So if you're under that...
It's 180.
What's that?
Everybody's ballast
Okay, at 180. Okay, so if you're under that, though, if you're under 180, then you have to distribute weight how?
There's a compartment right under our seat, so everyone puts the driver ballast in the same spot. So there's weight there. So if I weigh,
well, that's uncomfortable. Does it get uncomfortable?
No, we don't feel it. It's not like a lumbar.
Good.
So like if you weighed 150 pounds, say, you'd have to have 30 pounds under there.
Okay, so the heaviest driver, and then everybody has to get up to at least 180
correct.
pounds.
And anybody over 180 pounds doesn't have any weight there.
That's an advantage, right? But it's a disadvantage because they're heavier, right?
Yeah, if they can remove enough weight off their car, they can still get the minimum weight, but you don't have as much flexibility on where you put the weight. We're getting into the weeds now, but...
Yeah, we've now lost probably, it's like me with algebra, right? Okay, let's talk about the wings, right? You have a rear wing, obviously, for the cars on the oval. You have a front wing as well. You can adjust the wings in terms of the angle. That affects your speed. That adjustment is done how?
I mean, we can do it a couple ways. They can manually set it. There's also adjusters where they just take a speed handle wrench and crank the angle in and out of it. So
you as the driver can adjust which wings, both or just
neither?
Okay.
We can't adjust any of the wings. Our crew has to do that, whether it's in the race in a pit stop or just coming in.
But you obviously have the ultimate feel, so you can radio ahead and say, next stop, I think we should adjust to the certain amount, correct?
I mean, in the race, the biggest thing we'll be adjusting is front wing angle, maybe tire pressures. But front wing angle in the race is how we are making most of our adjustments.
Now, do you ever get so low on fuel and you're so tight on fuel that you turn down the radio because you're worried you're going to run out? That happens to me in my car.
I don't think it works that way in these, but
probably not.
We definitely have to do everything we can sometimes.
So the engines that run with these cars, and of course when you're talking Ed Carpenter Racing, you're talking about a Chevrolet engine. They also run a Honda engine. All of them are a 2.2 liter V6 engine. Now, 18.5 is the fuel cell, right? 18 and a half
Yep.
gallons. What is the maximum amount of fuel efficiency you can get? If you're trying to conserve fuel, and there are ways you can do it, it would be what?
As far as how we stretch it the most, so we have engine maps on here that we can basically go to a leaner fuel mixture.
So let's show the wheel here, because you got all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff
There's
on
all
here.
sorts of buttons. The screen, it's kind of like a video game, but yeah, there's different engine maps here where I can get better economy. That obviously comes at a reduction in power. This is basically like a trip meter on a car to reset our fuel counter. On road and street courses, we have push to pass. That's obsolete on the ovals. These are the weight jackers that adjust.
So that
the
adjusts the
handling.
weight balance of the car,
Correct.
right?
It's just a way for us to adjust.
How
what
often
we're
are you hitting these on the course of a lap?
doing. In qualifying, you'll hit it every lap. In the race, maybe not as much, but like on a really windy day around here, every lap.
So that's pushing the weight down or bringing it up, right? To free it up a little
It
bit?
essentially changes the rear right
Okay.
height a little bit. This is our pit lane speed, so you hit that, and then we can be 100% on the throttle, and it holds us right at
Does
60
Scott
miles an
Dixon's
hour.
work on this?
Hopefully. You have to get under the limit for it to trigger. This is a radio button, so push that to talk to our pits and team. This is kind of a cool button, neutral button. So when we're coming into the pits, we hit that and the downshift paddle, and it just goes straight to neutral, which since we're on the backside, upshift, downshift, and this is the clutch. So there's no clutch pedal for our feet anymore. It's all on the steering wheel.
So in the course of a lap, when you're going around and you're on the radio, you know how often, like I've always wondered this, if you're going out, let's say it's lap 170 of the race, and I come over your radio all of a sudden. Once you get over that jolt of surprise of hearing my voice, if I say to you, what lap are we on, what place are you running? How close would you be?
I would know. I mean, I have a lap counter on my dash, so I know the lap. But in generally, you know where you're running. If you get deep in the pack, it can be hard. But you also have the beautiful pylon here at IMS
Right.
that's easy to see.
What things do you pay attention to that assist you throughout the course of the run that people would be surprised by, whether it be the pylon, whether it be the windsock,
Yeah.
sometimes even the clouds maybe?
Yeah, I mean, every now and then you'll notice a plane on final into Indianapolis, but I definitely look at the windsock. So there's a windsock on the pylon on the front stretch, and there's one on the top of the turn 3 grandstands. And on a windy day, I'm looking at those every single lap.
Okay, so again, the car itself, 1,655 pounds. Delara is the chassis manufacturer. Engines, always a Honda, or in this case, a Chevrolet. The fuel efficiency, 18.5 is the size of that 2.2 liter V6 turbocharged engine that runs that fuel throughout it. They can adjust the balance, they can adjust, of course, the wings of the car when they come in on a pit stop, and it's Ed's job to radio back to the team to tell them what changes he wants. Last question, and I think people ask this the most often of any race car driver, what's it going to be? During the course of the race, when what happens, what do you do?
Oh, when you have to go to the bathroom?
Yeah, what do you do?
Well, you go before the road trip starts, and if you have to go, you hold it. That's my answer.
Okay, now what about if you have to sneeze? Everybody asks about going to the bathroom, but then I thought, what if you have to sneeze? You got that visor over you?
It's amazing. Adrenaline fixes everything. So I've been, over the years, obviously you have cold or allergies, and you can be sneezing up a storm, snotty nose, and you get in the car and start racing, and the adrenaline just kills it all.
Actually, one other thing I want to talk about here, and that's the windscreen, because this is part of the innovation of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Ed, this facility, and in particular your father, Tony George, were so vital in safety in terms of the safer barrier and the different things with innovation of safety. That includes this windscreen, which is now designed to keep the driver safe should any debris come this way. This windscreen in itself is actually capable of taking on just over 2 tons of actual force coming at you, including a piece upwards of multiple pounds at 220 miles an hour. How much does it affect your vision? Did it take getting used to with the windscreen?
Visually, I thought it was going to be a challenge to adjust, but it really wasn't a thing at all. It's warm. It's much warmer in the car now than it was. It's still open on top, but we just don't get as much air as we used to. But at the end of the day, it's been a major safety upgrade. There's been numerous times already where we've seen it come into action. 20
races, so the Indianapolis 500-mile race. It will be, hopefully, the 20th for Ed Carpenter. We wish you the best of luck. Best of luck to you. And then I look forward to the fact that on the victory celebration, should you win, they will actually present a check for the first time in Bitcoin. Be kind of cool, right?
I'll take however they want to pay me.
That's right. Ed Carpenter Racing, and again, Renus VK, keep an eye out for him. Ed Carpenter in car number 33.
Correct.
Connor Daly will be in the Indianapolis 500-mile race as well. Thanks for watching The Gold Badge.